All right, Neil. Ratner Rock Doc here with a story. This past week, Graham Nash celebrated his 80th birthday. Oh my God, we're getting old. And today I thought I'd tell you a few things about Graham Nash that you might not know. And as usual, a little background first. All right. So Graham grew up in northern England in the early 50s, and like most of his friends, Nash had little interest in anything else except kicking a football. But then came skiffle music and Lonnie Donegan. And Graham also began listening to Radio Luxembourg, especially on Sunday nights when they would play American Top 40. Now, eventually, Nash and his childhood friend Alan Clark decided to form a duo, and they modeled the duo after the Everly Brothers. They added more people, and the two of them eventually had a band which morphed into the Hollies. And Graham chose the name, and he chose it in honor of one of his idols, Buddy Holly, of course. All right, now, Graham did a lot of the songwriting for the group, and the Hollies were hugely successful. But by 1968, Graham had had enough of touring, and he wanted to focus more on being a songwriter. Now, one night after a Hollies concert in LA, Graham was invited to a recording session of the Mamas and the Papas. And after the session, Cass Elliot invited him to a party at a house in Laurel Canyon. Now, the house belonged to Joni Mitchell. And the first person Graham met was this shoeless, hippie-looking guy outside of the house. He was rolling joints. And what was his name? David Crosby. Now, Stephen Stills, a friend of Joni's who Graham had previously met, was also at the party. And Stills and Crosby sang a new song Stills had written called You Don't Have to Cry, which Nash asked them to sing a second time. He wanted to memorize the lyrics and he wanted to harmonize with them. So for the third rendition, Nash added his harmony. And the three sounded so amazing that they broke out laughing, realizing that they had incredible vocal chemistry. Graham was more than ready to leave the Hollies, and he was very excited about singing with David and Stephen. And so the group Crosby, Stills, and Nash was formed. Problem: no record deal. Solution: my old friend Ahmet Ertegun, president of Atlantic Records, jumped at the chance to sign them. Now, working with David Crosby and Stephen Stills seriously changed Graham's way of songwriting. And as he put it, if I could take what I learned in the Hollies, which was to be able to write a melody that maybe you couldn't forget if you heard it a couple of times, if I was to put better words to them, then I would have better songs. And my songwriting changed when I came to America. David and Stephen and Neil Young, of course, and Joni were writing about reality. We're writing about real issues that faced humanity. And I wanted to be a part of that. So, as I said, Graham wanted to be a songwriter. He had written a lot for the Hollies, and he started writing for Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And he wrote a lot of their most commercially successful hits, including Our House, which was about the house he shared with Joni Mitchell. They got into a romantic relationship, and they shared a house together, as well as Teach Your Children and Marrakesh Express, which were two songs that Graham had written while in the Hollies, gave them to the Hollies. Hollies said, not for us, saved them, ended up being songs for Crosby, Stills, Nash. All right. So Graham Nash has been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame twice, of course, once for the Hollies, once for Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And in 2018, he released a 30-track collection of demos made from 1968 to 1980, featuring highlights from his career. Graham Nash also had an intense interest in photography since he was a child. He began collecting pictures in the 70s, then he began taking his own pictures. He got into digital photography, and his work has been displayed in galleries around the world. On top of everything else, he holds 4 honorary doctorates, including one from New York Institute of Technology, one in music from the University of Salford, and his latest doctorate in fine arts from Lesley University in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Now, on a personal note, I had only seen Graham Nash once, and that was at Woodstock. But about 5 years ago, Graham had an exhibit of his work here in Woodstock, and he came for the opening. And of course, I went to the art gallery. It was great. Saw him from a distance, didn't meet him or anything. But later that evening, I happened to have tickets for Levon's Ramble. And that night it was Amy, Helm, and Friends. And when Amy shows up and you see, and Friends, you never know who's going to show up. And of course, people did show up that night. And one of the people that showed up was Graham Nash. And he did this great duet with John Sebastian, another local Woodstock legend, right? And then Graham also did a solo acoustic version of a great song of his called I Used to Be a King. It was an incredible night. I mean, Donald Fagen was also there that night. It was just great. It was just great. A real Woodstock night. And I really appreciated Graham Nash. And that's it. Graham Nash, 80 years old. I know he's on tour now, and hopefully he'll keep touring. And if you get a chance, you should definitely go and see him. All right, that's my story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll have more stories, and you know where to find me around the internet. And as I always like to tell you, always remember to keep on rocking. All right, I'll see you real soon somewhere. Bye for now.